Agent X11. My co-hosts are David Zublik, Heather Day, Joan Renee, Chris Montgomery, Skip Press, Tom Althouse, Jessica Garza, Edward Battalion, Dr. Keith Abloh, and TJ Ward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist, begins now.
And welcome to another episode of Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist. My name is Peniola Shepherd, and I am Agent X11, and you can only see half of my head. There's the other half. I'm joined today by Joan Renee, my co-host Tom Althouse, Jessica Garza, and our guest star, Brian Singh, a.k.a. the SolarBee. Joan, how are you?
I'm ready for this show. Let's get the show on the road. I want to hear all about what Brian Singh has to say.
Tom Althouse, you were at this venture.
Yeah, so I was spoiled at that venture. Brian spoiled me, and his team spoiled me, and now I'm just spoiled.
And Jessica, how are you? Good? You're good? Okay, we can't hear you, but you know, I'm taking the nod.
This thing's new. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Okay. And Brian, so tell us all about this adventure.
Yeah, so it went really well. This is our second 2020 or full disclosure now conference, leading off of last year's 2024 one. And not only did we have Tom there on the main galactic stage, we had a real just a real who's who of the community there at our event. And let me try sharing my screen here. Let's see.
Did you make recordings of your guests?
We did. We have a live stream. We did a live stream for both stages, and we recorded it. And then it might take us it's going to take us a couple weeks, at which point we are going to, process all the video and stuff. But here's some of us in the main galactic stage room, probably after one of the presenters. Aurora Diamondheart, Brayden Missel, Chris Pine, I forget his wife's name. But we had this is our costume contest here. We always make it a point to have a lot of fun at our events. Even though it is, content of a serious nature, we like to also have fun. So both David Yates and Ben Chastain, they both won the costume contest.
What did they dress as?
David Yates dressed as Q from Star Trek. And then Ben Chastain, he was this guy dancing around in this Tron kind of cyberpunk suit.
Okay.
It was really hilarious. And then to finalize who won, we did a dance off. So that made it even better.
Nice.
This is Susan Long. The Marvel comic book character Phoenix is quite likely based on her. She's a survivor of the secret space programs, and when unlocked, she has a lot of psionic abilities.
Nice.
Yep. Aurora Diamondheart, member of the community, and that was her costume this year. That's Yemi Janae of the Farsight Institute. She also
Nice.
brought two other remote viewers from the Farsight Institute, both Intisam and Kamaya Dunstan with her. And
Did
they're-
they have any revelations for you?
It's more a confirmation. We're definitely getting galactic messages through other people, not as much Yemi, but I received a direct channeling, like someone put their hand on my shoulder and like the voices came through, and it wasn't her voice and it wasn't her content, the person who was channeling for me. This is Rouen and Tone Millard doing their presentation on spiritual warfare, and that's Zach Fisher. He's a co-founder of the Day of Being sister event that we go to. It's our beach weekend. Jean-Charles Moyen, he's a French super soldier and solar warden veteran. It's just all us out there on the patio. Yeah, it's hot down there, but we're all on St. Pete Beach. That's Nate Gray, the Marvel comic book character. Nate Gray is probably based on him, Nate Gray. Let's see. This is at our sister event, Day of Being. So they had a nice big tent set up. This is early on in their day. And so, it's an amazing event because we were able to gather some of the most, I don't know, the experiencers with some of the most coherent, detailed testimonies together with other people in our community, people like Sean Bond of the Psionic League. He's also a secret space program experiencer and is very, psychically gifted. When I talk to people, who know, they talk about how Sean's really good at clearing negative energy, hexes, and spells. Like Christy Campbell, she's also a member of the community. She's able to, she'll watch him dancing and she'll see him tracing like light language lines in space. And then she'll go up to him and she'll start dancing with him, and they'll be doing like light language together, like dancing. And to them, they can probably see energy in the air, but to like most people, probably like you and I, it just looks like they're dancing really funny, waving their hands. It's Drago Reed. He is an experiencer of the Kruger Super Soldier program. Kruger is part of the German breakaway civilizations, kind of like some of their dirty tricks squad.
Yes, there was actually a Kruger because Megan Walsh had talked to me about Kruger being in her family, and I said as in Freddy Krueger, but it's actually, there is a Friedrich Kruger that was at Ravenswood, which is a concentration camp, and he actually ran the concentration camp.
Yes, and that's why Freddy Krueger, that name, might not be totally fictional, because the whole nightmare scenario sequencing, that's part of their MK Ultra brain control and traumatization programming.
It is.
Also, one of in the secret space programs, we talk Kruger super soldiers. Well, so there's supposed to be a head of the Kruger family. Apparently, his nickname derisively is Fruity Kruger, because he might be a bit fruity. So instead of calling him Freddy Krueger, they call him Fruity Krueger.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. This is the dance off, or this is some of the dancing that we were doing on Thursday night. We had DJ Adam Apollo. Here, you see Sean. He's doing this stuff there. I don't know if you can see it. He's really small. He's moving his hands a lot.
Right.
And people are having a great time. So it was a really good event. People are, even happier this year than they were last year, and they're ready to return next year, right, Tom?
That's a definite. Yeah, ready to go back.
Yeah, we decided we're going to do at least one. Sorry, it's my baby daughter screaming in the background. We're going to do at least one more Full Disclosure Now conference there in St. Pete Beach at the lovely Serrata Beach Resort next year, probably same dates in July. But we're also expanding. We're about to acquire a new facility conference center in Sedona, Arizona.
Really?
Yeah, at which point
Nice.
we'll be doing events there as well. And
Very nice.
Yeah.
Sedona's a special town.
Yeah, Sedona, Rion was talking about this during his Rise of the Guardians event there in March. That land is so sacred. There's so many portals, both to higher planes and lower planes. So it's not all just love and light. There, that the native Indians, particularly I think the Apache, Comanche, and Navajo, they would never let people live in Sedona. That's such a sacred spot, that the land of the gods, that the natives would only visit it, a few times a year for ceremony and gathering, but not to live there. And so it's wild that I'm going to be with others acquiring such an amazing spot
Yes,
for meetings. Yeah, we're going to call it the Starseed Center of Sedona.
Nice. That's
It's
beautiful.
really wild. And Penny, I was tapped to do a real life reality show at that very facility before Brian told me. He showed me. I was like, oh my
In
God,
Sedona?
Yeah, they're asking me to do the very place he's getting is where they asked me to do this. Like they were going to do this, like, well, they called it like a genius thing where these geniuses get together and share their thoughts, and the public learns what the geniuses are talking about. I think it's great. But
wow.
So I'll go when Brian has it.
Yeah, there's a famous center. It's like the Center for Consciousness Development, or I forget the name of it exactly. But Deepak Chopra has spoken there. Dr. Greg Braden.
In Sedona?
In Sedona specifically. This is a really well-known spot. And apparently Drunvalo Melchizedek has been off the scene for like the last 10 years or so. But I've heard that he's reemerging, and he's mentioned something about organizing a gathering of all the native, Indian tribes of the world. I'm pretty sure that's like a prophecy. So if we can make that happen at the Arizona, and he mentioned Sedona, Arizona specifically. So if we could make that happen within the next year or so, I think that'd be amazing, and that's going to be a goal of ours.
Yeah, I gigged in Sedona several times. Lived there in a band house by Red Rock, and there was one theater in the entire town. This was in the early 90s. There was one theater, and they only showed one movie on Sundays. So the entire town had to come out to watch this one movie that they showed on Sundays.
And that touches my heart too, Brian, because I'm tapped. I knew this as a child. I'm called to work with the Cherokee Nation. So it's like, and like Otika, I told you about Otika that was in my life that helped me write the thing. She was Cherokee. And Jen Allen, who I work with closely now, is Cherokee. And so Cherokee's a big part of my life. And the Cherokee have a prophecy that actually a white male will tell their story properly in the future. I think that's really beautiful. It's in the cover of Trail of Tears. In the cover, it says this prophecy. So I was like, not to step on toes, but I thought it was really fascinating because I feel very called to write their story in the proper way, not with white male falling in love with Native American, but actually the Native American viewpoint of what they suffered.
And that's why we do a lot of these conferences, is to make these connections happen so that we can, follow through and action, make it an actionable plan to carry out instead of just, talking about it. And at these conferences, a lot of people, they got to meet Lucas Alexander and Lauga Felix Black of Age of Truth TV. So I'm sure a lot of our presenters are going to get to go on these shows. We had Gino Gentili. He's an executive producer of the Y Files, and he's AJ's brother. And he was there at the conference doing a lot of interviews with people so that he can follow up with his team. And I really love that. The Y Files has an amazing reach that so many of us don't. In part because AJ he's very entertaining. He's got Hecklefish, his goldfish sidekick comic relief. They kind of frame it a little bit as entertainment, and a lot of times at the end, they might do a light debunking if there's other facts that go against or supposedly go against whatever case he's presenting. So they get millions and millions of views, and for us to be able to kind of tap into that audience would be really major for the secret space program time travel community.
I was going to say too, Brian, you're a master at keeping calm and cool through everything. You never showed anything that drew attention to yourself. You're always there for all of us and made us feel like everything was in order, secure. Any hiccups, you handled like a master, took care of us. And it was such a setting that it allowed that if you walk down the hall, you're grabbed up for an impromptu interview. And then you go down again, you're grabbed up for another impromptu interview. I lost count of the interviews. It's like they just keep grabbing you as you go by. Come on over here with the mic. It's like, it was really cool, very relaxed, not strict. We felt just free, very free.
And if you needed a break, you just get in your bathing suit, literally walk out the conference doors onto the beach and into the St. Pete Beach water, which is like bathtub water warm. That Gulf Coast water right now, even at night, it's still kind of warm, and you can get in. I mean, you could definitely get in. Night swimming was my favorite. Yeah, and there were many craft. We definitely had ships. I saw at least 2 more blatant ones. The most blatant one, I didn't get that one on video. I got the other one though. It's just I was just like pointing up at the sky, and it looked like a really bright planet. Like this is my baby.
That's a cuteness alert right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't hear you. You muted yourself. Nope. Still muted. And the baby was nowhere near the computer. So just saying.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. All right. What was it saying? The main craft that I saw, it was pretty blatant and obvious. I was pointing up to the sky it was over the water while we were all on the beach and at the resort and by the fire pits enjoying our evening. And it looked like a planet as bright as Jupiter, but instead of Jupiter just being nice and bright, milky white, this was like more of a Mars red.
Wow.
And it was really bright and bigger than Mars normally appears. I'm pointing like, hey guys, that doesn't look like that. Look a planet. It looks too bright. Is that a craft? And as I'm pointing at it, it blinked out. And then instead of coming back on full power, it just blinked a white light.
Right, because they're like, he sees us.
And then I had Sean give me his laser, because a lot of times when you do CE5 protocol to interact with craft in the sky, you have a laser pointer. So I shine the laser pointer at the thing,
And then the craft crashed.
No.
You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to shine.
What airplanes?
At airplanes.
No, but it wasn't an airplane.
I know.
Airplanes don't stand still like that, just and then wink out and just
They
hover.
went, oh
there in
God,
the sky.
he's flashing a laser at us.
Right. So it winked back. It winked back a couple times, and then it disappeared. So that to me that's
You
clearly
see
a
the
craft. That's
picture I
not a
got?
plane, not a satellite, not a.
What did you say,
ballistic-
Tom?
I was going to say, if Brian saw the picture I got, which is
Which one? Let's see it.
Let me take my little setting back so I can actually show you.
Was it while we were on the beach, Tom?
No, it was while I was at the thing, but look,
The clouds.
the cross.
Oh,
that-
wow.
They're called.
Oh yeah. They did like a chemtrail cross directly over our resort almost.
That's a picture of
Oh
them.
my God.
Yeah, it's like the chemtrails intersect like right over our resort. People said one evening there were black helicopters flying over us,
Of
kind of
course.
harassing us. We had plenty of craft, that's for sure. We had Audrey Walters of the Star Netlink channel on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
She's a galactic court system contactee, and she did some channeling, I believe, for her first time while at the event. Not on stage, but while on stage, we had Christopher Jacobs and Joanna Michaels. They brought forth Sasquatch, the forest people, to speak, as well as Soma Ara, the Palladian channeler, came over from Ireland, and she did a channeling of the Palladians as well.
She came all the way over from Ireland.
We had Soma Ara from Ireland. We had James Bartley from Australia. We had Lucas Alexander and Lauga Felix Black of Age of Truth TV from Denmark. We had Miles Johnston from the UK. We're truly an international conference.
Yes.
When you look at our presenter lineup, we're probably the largest disclosure conference in the world. I'd say bigger and better than Contact in the Desert, but we still have a ways to go to get our attendance where Contact in the Desert is. Of course,
How long has
they're
Contact been around?
12 years. They just did
Okay,
their
well, there
12th,
you
and we
go.
just did our second.
Right.
Yeah, so we're very proud of that.
I'm really intrigued about your Sedona thing. I'd like to
Yeah.
go to that for sure.
It's the Center for Life Consciousness, and here, let me see if I can find.
And also, Tom, I was told at one point when I went to North Carolina to rescue this girl, like I could afford to rescue anybody. And I was told by an Indian that I needed to talk to the Cherokee Nation. And I'm like, I'm a little busy right now, but I will do it as soon as I can. And I'm like, the Cherokee Nation, why am I supposed to talk to the Cherokee Nation? And then when I was talking to my last handler who sex trafficked me out of the crazy house, when you talk on the phone, the GPS on your phone is like on hold. And at least what I was using at that time. And so when I got off the phone, then it came back on and said, you are in Miami, Oklahoma. And I was like, Miami, Oklahoma? I didn't know there was a Miami, Oklahoma, because I'm from Miami. So I'm like, well, I know where I'm supposed to go. So I pulled off and I went to a stop, a rest stop, a truck stop. And I get out to pet these dogs, and I turn around behind me, and it says Indian Nation. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I went in and I talked to the lady. And I said, tell her I said, I'm supposed to talk to the Cherokee Nation. And they said, well, we don't have any Cherokees here, but we do have Sioux. I said, okay, that will have to do. The Sioux will have to do. I say, go back and tell her that I'm on a vision quest and I'd like to talk to her. So I went back and I talked to her, and her name was Mrs. Christ.
Well, I have a question
And I
for
said,
Brian off of this.
that's a good name.
Here's a question. Does it look like our society has been kept from the demographic of our population from going where they should go? I always told people they should go where their heart leaps. And for me, when I was like 5 years old, 7 years old, I was always singing the Yellow Rose of Texas and just always knew.
Really?
Yeah, always Texas was in my heart when I'm in PA. I hated Pennsylvania.
I'm in Texas right now. I'm in
There you
Tyler,
go.
Texas.
So that's where I was being drawn when I was a tiny guy. And also I read James Michener's Hawaii. And when I got to Hawaii, he was invited out by the top, singer with the top, Kelly Rochelle and his team. The elders were like, you belong here. I had visions of outrigger canoes before I knew what outrigger canoes were. I'm drawing them in second grade. So it's like, so the two places I'm supposed to be is Texas and Hawaii. I know that, and work with a Cherokee. So it's like, got it. But do you think too that people need to find maybe where their heart is drawn, the energy their heart is drawn to, the localities that maybe missions and tasks are there waiting for them?
What I'd say is we've always had our life missions and tasks, but only this last year has the light won to the point that we're really starting to see that manifesting down here in terms of more prosperity and abundance for some of us. And it's the earlier waves, but people are, I think I would call us star seeds who came here on a mission to help elevate the vibration and frequency of humanity. I think up until last year or so, we're all living under sexual misery programming, poverty, harassment, not having a place to go. Now that the tide, at least as far as I can see, is turning, things are loosening up. People are maybe some people are targeted a little bit less. They're getting access to a little bit more money. They're meeting partners that they're actually happy and connected with, right? I think in the past, a lot of that was more inaccessible. We're a lot less likely to just be unharassed, living our best life, moving to where we want to be and just being there, doing what we want to do. Now, I think we're able to do that. But I feel that that's been a very recent shift.
I think you're absolutely right. I feel it myself. At your conference, I felt that. I felt the cup was taken from me, like I described from the stage. And sourcing is such a big thing of the agency. Sourcing. They source you back to where they want you. They push you back to where they want you. And they use all sorts of means to do that. Financial, honeypots, you name it. They get you where they want you. Then you got to break that cage and get out to where you should be. So,
yeah. And I wanted to address something that Brian said, is that when you're doing what you want, what we're not talking about do what thou wilt. We're talking about actually being able to understand your mission and accomplish it, which is so find your path, that we are bringing, if you're going to bring light into the world, it's not what you get for yourself, it's what you're giving to everyone else. And you get a chance to do that. This is where that prosperity is. And it's not necessarily material.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
do what thou willst is a very satanic line.
Yes, it is.
And
Absolutely.
because
That's what you
what it
said.
doesn't
What's the line again? I'm sorry.
It's
do-
do what thou wilt. It is a very satanic premise because it overrides, uh, the needs of humanity and prefaces
it's
on your
selfish.
own selfish
Mhm.
needs.
It's based on Aleister Crowley liked to quote it a lot. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. It's basically do what you want.
Oh,
And then
wow.
some people say and you shall harm none, right? They add but don't harm anybody,
Mhm.
which takes it down a little bit. But the thing that they left out is, you know, whatever it is you want to do, have you thought to or bothered to ask if it's in alignment with what God's source wants?
Yes.
And so do what thou wilt totally takes out takes
Can
God
I
out of it.
throw something you just brought up that's going to be like David throwing this multiple slings at tons of giants? It's going to shake up. It's going to make people angry, but I want to point it out. What I got while I was writing my piece was that the state was arranging marriages and stuff, lining people up the way they wanted them to. Now that we're all being freed, we're going to see people that are in marriages where they're going to see who they would have been with if they had not been structured by the state. Now, this raises a whole nother level of state control. You're bound in a marriage, you're committed in a marriage, yet the person that you're with was supplied by the state or by these bodies to put you together. And now you're seeing that the person that you're with is an unequal yoke. So there's probably a massive population out there that are in this situation. How do you even touch that? It's like you're in a marriage. So how do you what do you do? See it through?
Well,
It's what I'm talking about? It's like Total Recall. Do you break you know what I'm saying? I'm open.
in my marriage, we're not going to see it through. We're going to raise baby together, and we'll be friendly, and we'll be co-parents. But my partner, Liz, who I love dearly, and I believe she's a star seed, but she's not an overtly activated, let's like change the world type star seed. And I think a lot of those types of star seeds, we're starting to meet each other. And when I look at our community of people who've gone through MK Ultra, they've been targeted individuals, military abductees, and the works. The vast majority of them have been with partners that were terrible to them. They were, at the very least, they were normies who, when we came out with our testimonies starting to get recall, many of our partners just freaked out and could not handle it.
You just hit something so important, because what happened to me with the honeypots I was with, I mean, they were beautiful, all that stuff, but they couldn't stand that I wouldn't get off path, that I stayed on path and course to do what I had to do, that they left me. So it's like they said, you're being weak, you're being too caring. So I guess it works itself out in the end.
It'll resolve itself, because the energies are at the end of the day, the energies are different. We want 4D and 5D things, and they want to keep us stuck in the 3D matrix world. How long is someone who took the red pill going to stay with someone who took the blue pill? It really is a dividing of the worlds, and this is that shifting in consciousness that's happening. And so when we talk about the full disclosure movement, with the disclosure is also the ascension, the spiritual ascension of humanity, as we unveil all these hidden truths, suppressed technologies, all the ETs. Well, with all that knowledge and wisdom and learning, then should come a spiritual advancement.
Exactly. One more bomb, if I may, and I'll let everybody else have the floor, is do you see the institution of marriage being changed, no longer the state controlling it, but more of a spiritual thing where there's something else that replaces marriage, where it's like a bonding back to the roots of what it was supposed to be under God and not the state? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Right. I'd say it's more going from that rigid, codified, authoritarian marriage contract as enforced by the state and the court system to, much more of a relaxed, like you're still going to have people getting married and they're monogamous and they have their children, but you're also probably going to get a lot more of this village thing where single parents, divorced parents, separated parents are going to be co-parenting their children with other people's children and forming these more intentional communities and villages. That's where I see things going in the future, is we're going to go from these big scale metropolises where it's all like just traffic and congestion and no one really knows each other and it's a mess, to smaller intentional communities more spread out. But that is going to happen over decades. But this is what I foresee in the coming years. Just
Maybe it's going to start with Sedona.
Yeah, Sedona is an interesting thing.
It's beautiful.
It's so beautiful. It also draws a lot of darkness. So there's a lot of negative covens there who are nasty. Some men's groups that are very misogynistic.
Oh gosh.
There's a very high rate of alcoholism there. There's a lot of these young men trying to, pick up their wealthier cougar woman in the area and vice versa. There's a lot of unhealed trauma. Yeah. And so part of what we want to do in Sedona is to help clean that up and help strengthen the divine feminine, which is under a lot of attack there from what we can tell.
I agree.
All my gal pals there tell me, the stories that they have, they can just go on for hours and hours about these misogynistic men's groups where, if the woman doesn't sleep with the guys and all of a sudden the guy, she's a witch, right?
Well,
oh, wow.
I'll tell you, Brian, when I was at Religious Right, it was like there was this book called Christian Men Who Hate Women. And it's like, they feel like when they marry them, they're property. They got them. They can do whatever they want. I felt like there should be something like every so many years, there's a recheck, a renewal of vows. And if the person has not honored the other person, you lost. You didn't honor that sacred agreement. So therefore you lost, and maybe a timeout or something, but be a better man and then come back. You cannot just own a woman and feel like I got her and then apply God's scriptures to it to lock her in and do whatever you want to her.
As time goes by, those men are going to be more and more single. Society is going to put up a lot less with that whole patriarchal dominance. I'm all for strong men. I don't think it's as bad as the toxic masculinity that the wokeness pushed. I think that was more of an attack on masculinity itself, disguised as toxic masculinity and stereotyping. There is that whole hardcore Christian right thing, but I mean the numbers, the demographics, I would say show that is fading out. My understanding is that most churches, they're struggling, to keep attendance and to stay going. Only hopefully the good, strong churches who are spiritually strong remain in effect.
I agree. And I would say to the women that are with Religious Right, because I've been there, I've seen what they go through. Stand up. If you can, just say what you want, put your boundaries, say no to absolute garbage, and tell your man to be a better man and demand for your kids.
And the thing about Christianity is they really wrote a lot of the divine feminine out of the Bible. This is why the Ethiopian Bible is 88 books versus the rest of the world that was dominated by the Freemasons before they could taint the Northern Africans Bible as well. It only has like 64 or 66 books. I think 66. But that's, they wrote out the female disciples of Christ, his true romance with Mary Magdalene, which deserves to be in there and it's not a bad or evil thing at all. So yeah, there's a lot of, and what I always say is, you have to out Christian the Christians. They say, oh, this is remote viewing and channeling and a prophecy that's witchcraft. Well, no, it's not. Christ even commissioned us to do miracles far greater than he to do these miraculous works so that we could heal humanity and bring the Christ consciousness back to earth.
So I had to work within the confines of the Christian community. And what I said was there's cool Christians and there's entitled Christians. And the cool Christians is what I was writing for, the ones that actually do value. If we want to keep our kids safe, then be in a balanced, good, nurturing relationship. Lead by example. Love the person you're with, and then the kids will be safe. We can start there by restoring families. And it pissed me off that Robertson had this whole thing by getting Dobson in there with focus on the family. They're focusing on ruining the family. We need to return back to allowing sovereignty in the family where both male and female have sovereignty together to build that foundation for a secure and safe, loving home.
Even more than that, Tom, you're referencing, it sounds more like the nuclear family. Well, the nuclear family was given to us in the 50s, post World War II, to destroy the tribe, to destroy the village model. Because the village model was always grandma and grandpa would help raise the grandchildren, and then when the grandchildren grew up, they could help take care of grandma and grandpa in their old
Right.
age.
I
So
love that.
you've got
Yeah.
a very
Mhm.
grandma, mom, dad, children, and that
Mhm.
cycle it keeps going and supporting itself.
You're
Once
so
you
right.
do mom, dad, 2.3 children, white picket fence, and one dog, what happened to grandma and grandpa?
Right.
Now they're in a nursing home.
Good for
Okay.
you. Good for you. I call it the Waltons. And I worked with Ellen Gear, and I said the Walton method is great, or the Amish method is great. It's just so smart. It's like,
Mhm.
don't put your parents away. Who put this up with this? It's
No,
like,
The
respect
Amish don't do it. The
respect
Chinese
them.
don't do it.
Unfortunately,
China.
in today's society, there's a lack of respect for everything, for each other, for your elders. But I did notice that in Chinese families that were here in the United States and Japanese families, they did live with their elders, and they did respect them, and they did listen to them.
Absolutely. I mean, in China, if you go to a grade school, you'll see all the little kids running around surrounding the janitor. Well, that janitor could have been a teacher or the principal of that school in their younger years. And then when they retire, the school lets them live there and they become a groundskeeper.
Oh, nice.
And here in the United States, that'd be like unheard of, everyone would be
And
like
they would be
hating on the
disrespected,
They'd
not
be super
respected.
disrespectful. They'd be throwing trash on the ground to make the
Right.
principal here,
Mhm.
the retired principal pick up stuff. Whereas there, they all surround that person with love and hugs, and that person's a groundskeeper, and they remain part of the school until they die.
that's such a big point. I've heard often in slavery, even not to get a hot topic, but can't get away from it. That even like Monticello and Mount Vernon, it's like you put good people. Doesn't matter their ethnicity. You put the good people around children, and their goodness is going to transfer. Where they even said in Game of Thrones, the tutor that was, they freed all the slaves, and it's like he wanted to go back with the kids as a slave, so he can take care of them and love them, because that's the only way he could be in that family. So you become part of that family you're around, and your goodness transcends it no matter what your capacity. So even slaves became very much examples and loving to the children. They were enslaved too. So it's like we have that nature carries with us. Who we are will transcend no matter what our position. So hopefully we'll all be free people. And like Hawaii's model, we're all uncles and aunties looking out for the kids. That's how we do in Hawaii. So
I think
Jessica,
too,
I wanted to ask Jessica to weigh in. What's your experience with having, the elders raise the children and then the grandchildren?
I think it's a good idea. I like that. Some people still do that, like Ryan was saying. My front neighbor, they have their parents living with them. I lived in another neighborhood. Another neighbor had their parents living with them. Like, I think that's an amazing idea. You have grandma and grandpa watching the kids, and it's a different kind of love. I mean, I can't relate to that yet because I'm not there yet, but I can only imagine. It's very like, I'm going to do the things that I didn't do with this one, but like differently because it's not the responsibility, I guess. I don't know. I think it's a
Right.
great idea. But not to throw it off, I did have questions for Brian, like in regards to your conference, because this is like my first time watching you talk about your conference. What would somebody brand new expect? Like what's the goal for your mission?
Yeah. So a lot of us who are in the community, we take a lot of the jargon and the buzzwords and the terminology. Kind of like I take it just, I talk about 20 and back time travel missions and stargates and portals like it's nothing. The goal of the conference is to have so many people speaking on these topics in such a coherent way, with everyone's testimonies really corroborate with each other. It makes it a much stronger tapestry for the new person to see. The goal is to give people exposure to our presenters, and then have direct, question and answer contact with them, and then to go see another presenter, and then to realize, oh wow, their presentations are dovetailing They're linking up the things that this person talked about seeing in space or, you know, in a time travel project is exactly what this person's presentation is saying over here. And before this conference, these two people never met each other, you know, in person or didn't even know about each other, and they're testifying about the same things.
Yeah.
That, I think, I mean, for me as an advocate investigator is a gold standard. When you have first person testimony testifying the same things, and these are people who I find to be trustworthy and reliable.
And
And then yeah.
in regards to like Dr. Joe Dispenza, his conferences, I've never been to them, but I do know like somebody really close to me that's been to them twice. Is that relatable? Like, do you guys meditate or?
We do some people did activations and sound bowl hearings and things like that. So that the meditative aspect is part of our event, and some people incorporate that into their presentations, and then other people are more just like a PowerPoint talking about what they saw in space.
Yeah.
And so it's all of that. To other people channeling and bringing in ET beings. And then meanwhile, people who are sensitives, they're sitting in the audience and they're talking about how many beings there are, like they're ETs visiting, flying around, orbs and stuff in the room. They can see them, I can't, but I'm fairly sure they're there.
Wow. Penny, we should definitely go to the one in Sedona together.
I know for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, the ETs, they come because they want to visit, they want to record and witness the proceedings themselves. So they'll send, you know, people talking about seeing orbs flying around or etheric beings like sitting in the chairs next to us, you know, and so some people, especially one of the gals of the Farsight Institute, she was like pointing out to Yemi Janae, one of her colleagues, you know, she's like freaked out because she's seeing all the things in the audience that other people can't see.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to actually say, do you see that? Is that real? Do you see that?
That's awesome.
And other
No,
people, they can't see it, but they can feel it. They can
Yeah.
sense it. You know, so there's a wide range of how
I've
well
had
people can detect.
where I've started, like I've always felt stuff, right? But then recently, like when I met Penny, that's funny, and Tom and Joan, like ever since I've been in this world, I've been seeing a lot of traction like in the sky. And I've shared some stuff with Penny, like hearts in the clouds, like that my daughter asked for, type of things. Like give us a sign, and it gave us like 2 exact hearts, like shaped in clouds, and just a lot of movement. The red planet that you were talking about, that wasn't a planet. The same thing, like it was red. I thought it was Mars, and then it just disappeared. And then I was like, is this like Morse code, or I don't know?
Right. It's like a power down, and then it starts blinking a white light at you.
Yeah. And I live in a tall part in my neighborhood, so I'm high up and I have like a nice view, and I've been seeing it a lot, and I'm attracted to go outside. It's like I'm called to, like, you need to go outside right now.
Well, they can talk to you. Yeah, because they're telepathic. I think when they're up there in the ships, like we might appear, the more activated of us or who are looking at them, we might like brighten up on their displays somehow.
Yes.
But that is a CE5 thing where people can communicate, get them to blink back. You know, maybe the hearts formed out of the clouds are able to like manipulate the clouds, air to condense around them. So they could have maybe did that. What else? I know Colonel, not Captain Randy Kramer, Colonel Randy Kramer. Apparently he's been promoted. He's just moving back to Sedona now. And he was telling me how just, you know, over his years in Sedona, he's seen so many ships, daytime, nighttime, doesn't matter. And he says that when you see a ship flying and it's got like a green light kind of vortexes in front of it flowing around it, he says that is spaceship's version of emergency lights.
Oh.
It means they're coming in for like a landing and there's something going on. And he says that he's seen a ship like with his like the green vortice lighting around the silver craft, streaking through the sky like 4,000 to 5,000 miles an hour, go right into a rock face while showing it's this green light around it, and then 12 minutes later just streak out of the rock face but no green lights. And he said that was probably a medical drop off where they were bringing someone in hot, like an ambulance, races to the hospital with its sirens going, gets there, cuts the siren, drops off the patient, and then takes off. But there's no need for the emergency lights or siren anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Wow.
when I asked him, Secret Mountain is apparently the name of the underground base there in Sedona. There's Secret Mountain
there's
right
an
there.
underground base in Sedona. Of course there is.
Absolutely.
Is it anywhere near Red Rock?
I'm not sure exactly. I forget the part of town. It's near the Enchanted Resort. And it's called Secret Mountain. Is on the backside of that. It's super high end real estate.
McCain had a place out there too.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt. I mean, everyone who, if they can, it's so beautiful and magical. And because I've now been to Sedona twice this year, and I see why. I asked Colonel Randy Kramer, is that underground base, is it a bad base? Is it a good base? What is Sedona, good ETs or bad ETs? And he said, you can't think like that. It's like when you go to an airport, is everyone going through the airport? Are they good guys? Are they bad? No, it's an airport. Everyone's coming through the airport, good and bad and ugly. And it's not like an affiliation. And these bases can change hands, under white hat or black hat leadership, apparently. But he said in terms of Sedona overall and who's flying in and out, everyone's flying in and out there. It's not like a good or bad thing. It's you've got the good and bad all mixed in, just like any airport.
You brought up something else too, and that was the going right through the rock. And I've heard those before where someone was leaning against the rock, and apparently they can make it solid, where it's solid like a rock. And then if they want you to go through it, it's like a hologram, and you can go through it, and then it goes solid again.
That's what Randy says. He says that's true. He says it could be solid, could be, or just go right through it. But it's more than just a hologram, because if you run into it when it's
in hard
mode, you're going to run
otherwise, and then it's like a hologram when you go through it, but it's not necessarily you that allows it. Something else is allowing you to go through it and go inside. It's like me unlocking the door so somebody can come in the house, and then shutting it and locking it again so nobody else can.
Exactly. Randy talks about how it's a spaceport, and so there is some form of traffic control there. And like if you're in violation or you come into that airspace without proper clearance, like you could potentially be shot down. He says that is a real thing. I was asking him, like, how the heck can something fly 4,000 or 5,000 miles an hour and then come to a dead stop? And he said that these craft are, the level of technology and control. And then it might also be that when you're flying the craft itself, you perceive it a little bit differently. You might have, the time might flow a little bit differently. So you might have a little bit more control for the craft.
There's another piece to it too, is that when I've gone on a Skywatch, a lot of the people had these apps on their phone. So when we'd see something, they'd look up on the app and see if it was already, if that was something that was known flying through the area, so that you can understand. And what was really interesting, we saw this bright light go across the sky. Now, it wasn't a UFO, but what's interesting is when they went to the app, it was a space station. So we actually saw a space station go across the sky.
And you'll see that a lot. And the way you can distinguish the space stations and satellites is it'll be like a white, shiny glint, but it'll stay on path. It will not change direction. It will not stop. It will definitely not stop and then start again. So anything that's starting, changing direction, stopping, that's, it's not a satellite at least.
Yeah. And then with that app, they could identify if it was something. And then if it wasn't on the app, then they could, okay, so we don't know what that is. It's not registered on
Flight Tracker, Satellite Tracker, Skywatch.
So that's kind of one way to eliminate those things that are man-made.
Yeah, and let me see if I can find it on my feed, but I have I think I took a video of a craft, and people were asking me to post it, and so I did. I'll see if I can find that while we're talking. And if anyone has any more questions or comments.
It seems like World War II is really when it all lit up. Like World War II, we drew the attention. So, and there's these Foo Fighters that happened in World War II. All these bombers talked about the lights that would follow them and everything else. Do we know what that was now? Or is that was just like a misdirect, like a cat? Right?
Those are probably the German Hannibal, the German UFOs that were reverse engineered from gray and reptilian technology. So the Nazi Germans actually won World War II. And so they were basically flying over Washington, D.C. and L.A., and that was them basically announcing that they won World War II, because apparently they literally took over Congress as well. And that was when the U.S. surrendered to Germany. And that was also when you had the Washington, D.C. flyovers of the UFOs in perfect Luftwaffe flight formation over the capital of the United States.
It fits the screenplay. It fits what I was given. So that's reaffirming. Wow.
Yeah. The Nazis won World War II. We've officially been under the Fourth Reich ever since. And that's why the Germans.
Yeah, I for sure believe that.
And that's why,
they did win. I think I often used to think that the premise of the war was that to eradicate and bring down Germany, and then expand their territory, and then come into the United States, which they did, and then they infiltrated into our current government.
Yeah, the way they won was through infiltration, because at the end of World War II, they were just getting this technology. They weren't building it fast enough to turn the tide here on the surface of the planet. But what they did is they went off planet. That's where they went to Mars, the moon, Ceres colony, out of the solar system, beyond. And they just, let Earth kind of be run under their Illuminati factions.
And
meanwhile,
Switzerland became the base for coordinating the Nazi takeover of U.S. It was actually Switzerland, and they were collecting planes from Luftwaffe, from Britain, from America. They took them all. I said we because that's my ancestry. We took them all, and then you have Alan Dulles working from Bern, Switzerland, where my castle is, my family's castle, the Traco Castle, and where Musk is from. His ancestry is from also Bern, Switzerland. So Bern, Switzerland is the center of the whole change of the world where the Nazis get to take over, and that's my ancestral home. So
I believe it's also, there's like the Octagon group with the CIA. Apparently they have an underwater base there under the bottom of Lake Geneva.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah. So isn't that interesting? The one that's known for peace and
Oh no. Well, that's what they say. That's where all the Nazi money went. That's where all the gold they took out of people's teeth ended up.
Right.
Switzerland is anything but neutral.
No, we're the badasses of the world. Switzerland, we are the badasses, and we're the ones that were like the Imperial Guard for the French,
the Swiss Guard, and the Vatican.
Oh, yeah, we're the badasses. So it's interesting they made us into like we're peaceful.
No, Switzerland has it's basically covering up all the Illuminati money, and they're anything but reputable.
That's right, kind of.
Wow. We all have about 7 more minutes. Let's have some final statements. Let's start with you, Jessica. And we can't hear you.
Quick question, because I know you said 7 minutes. Have you heard about the gateway tapes? I'm sure you guys have.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I've just been seeing them resurface a lot on my social media feed.
What are the gateway tapes, people?
Well, go for it, Brian. You can tell her because I'm pretty sure.
The gateway tapes were developed by Robert Monroe and the Monroe Institute.
Okay.
Along with the CIA.
Brian Bowden knows a lot about that.
Right, were commissioned by the CIA for him to do those tapes. And what they did is they developed a series of what they call hemisync brainwave patterns, where they'll strobe in your right ear, boop, 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 and then they'll strobe in your left ear. Doot, 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 doot. And when you listen to the right ear and left ear on headphones, and you meditate, the strobing will link up the left and right hemispheres of your brain in different coherence patterns, delta, gamma, theta states, and the different waves, states that they help you to induce can help you remote view, astral project, go to, other, do interdimensional travel with your spirit body or your light body. And that's what the gateway tapes. Gateways like Gateway 10 is like astral projection. I forget the others.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been seeing them a lot on my feed, and they seem to be connected to the MK Ultra because people have talked about that too. That's why you guys talked about that. So I was like, we should talk about the gateway tapes because I've seen people talk about that they've been doing them, and there's entities with them.
Yes. Well, so once you activate yourself psychically, or you become bright in the spiritual world,
Yeah.
probably other people who are in those circles, they will see you. And then they might even approach you and they might say, wow, Jessica is a really strong remote viewer, astral projector. We'd like her to join our coven. And then they might not even approach
Sorry.
Sorry.
I hit on something.
They might not even approach you in the physical and call you on the phone. They might reach you in the astral. And they might tell you in the astral, come to this building tomorrow. And then you'll meet them there. And it's like, that's how you know people who are doing this.
Yeah.
That they're communicating.
Yeah.
You know what you just opened up too, real quick before we go. Operation Blue Book is changing now. It's going from the Return of Christ faked to Alien. But what you're going to hear, I heard, was that there will be an audible sound in many people's heads across the world where it's like, I am here, or something. They're going to hear this thing where they're going to go, oh, this must be Christ, this must be God, this must be aliens. So it's going to be a click on audibly, is what I was told.
Yeah, so you're referring to Project Bluebeam, and that's where not only are they using the holographic projection technology, but they're using voice to skull technology.
I did not know that was a component of it, but thank you.
Oh yes, and
yeah,
and they might, and the thing is, the whole ET invasion thing might not work for them anymore because our friendly ETs have been showing themselves in their skies in a very non-threatening manner since last November.
No, thank you, Brian. I'm going on Michael Jacob's show later today, and we're going to be talking about how they switched to Operation Bluebeam. But I had no thought about how, yes, they went from Second Coming to Alien, now something else. So thank you.
Well, the alien thing, I mean, I think they wanted to do the ET thing, ET invasion, but I think that they had that kind of preempted by the good guys, kind of beat them to the punch.
So what is going to replace it now? I know it was Second Coming, then it was going to be Alien. Now, what would they replace it with now?
Well, now they probably don't know because this new administration is undermining a lot of their Project Bluebeam stuff. And so I think that right now, just like how they had to rename it from Agenda 21 to Agenda 2030, it shows me that the other side is off track in a good way, just like having the Georgia Guidestones all blowed up. I think all of this is
being returned. Something's happened.
Right. These are all indicators that we're on a higher timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think the battle is over yet either. That
There's
a
attrition.
lot of the message. Pardon?
It's going to be a war of attrition.
Yeah,
and the next 10 years.
Yeah, because we're the line coming from the Q people is that it's all scripted. This is all going to be done, and we're in total control. Get your popcorn. But what I'm seeing really is that this is really more like the fog of war, where you might think you're in control, and then they do something that's kind of shifts the power for a little bit, and then you have to change the game plan and go back and forth. So I'm kind of getting that a lot of that is going on right now, but we still are. We're still getting there where we need to be, where we can finally get to the point where we can be freed up from this. And I think the one message is that they can't stop what's coming.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Nothing can stop what's coming. And that's why, I do like the line, keep calm, like stick to the plan, but at the same time, also work your ass off for the plan.
Right.
Don't just sit back.
We're entering a celebration time. Like I was told by Roseanne, Trump's going to have me to dinner with his family. That's cool. And then the Q guys were inviting me to have dinner with them while I was supposed to head to Roseanne's.
Well, send them my way. I want to talk to some Q
I will.
people.
I'll tell Roseanne too. Brian's stuff is the bomb.
Yeah. We'll get Rose. Hopefully you can get Roseanne for next year.
I think it'd be no problem at all. I think she'll.
Oh, that would be
That'd be fun.
awesome.
Awesome.
This has been an awesome show.
Mhm.
Looking
Yeah.
forward to next Thursday. I'll be back in Nevada if I'm not up in Washington, where we're looking to acquire a 900-acre ranch north of Spokane. We'll eventually be doing events and conferences up there as well. But the next one to watch out for is Sedona, probably in between now and next July when we return to Florida.
Well, if you do
Wow.
Spokane, Washington, let me know because I got to pick up my stuff from the Honeypot X season.
Okay, sure, will do.
This has just been lovely. Brian Singh, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on fulldisclosure.network is the blog that I need to update, but that'll be a lot of the newest news. And then if you go to fulldisclosure.live, and that's the website for the conference, where you'll be able to, in the coming weeks, we'll put up links if you want to watch the recordings.
Excellent. Jessica Garza, where can people find you?
People can find me on X at Jessica OG111, and then on Mondays on Trauma Triage, and then throughout the week on Agent X11.
Excellent. And we're going to be working on a new show for you as well. Thomas Althouse, where can people find you?
Still alive and at tomhouse.com and loving you guys deeply.
And Joan Renee, where can people find you?
Agent X11, The Awake Nation, Trauma Triage, and Joan Renee 27 on X.
Yes, and you are on Awake Nation as a co-host, a regular co-host now, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we look forward to that. And you just pulled in a very long day today, and our days are not over. My name is Penny L.A. Shepherd, and I am Agent X11. You can find me on the Awake Nation Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's Eastern Time. And we aim to house and showcase people who are whistleblowers, people who are targeted, directors, producers, anyone that's awake. We intend on having them, and that loves God and Jesus. We intend on having them on both the Awake Nation and Agent X11. If you would like to be a guest, please text my phone. Please say your first and last name and text my phone at 619-779-9771. I won't answer unless you're in my contacts. So please text my phone. Again, that's 619-779-9771. And if you have any disclosures, or if you're an investigative journalist, or if you would like to be an investigative journalist, or if you have any tips, etc., feel free to text my phone and tell me your first and last name and what you would like to talk about. Well, this has been just exciting. I look forward to next week, next Thursday, with Brian Singh Presents. And thank you all for joining us. You can find me on X under Shepherd Out. And we're out of time, so we are out of here. Shepherd out.
Renee out.
Althouse out.
Garza out.
SolarBee out.
Goodbye for today from Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist. We post new episodes daily. Check out our true crime episodes Wednesdays and Fridays. Please watch our main show, David Zubik's Awake Nation, on the David Zubik channel on Rumble. We are live Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern.